Hi, I'm Richard from Seneca Learning, and today we're going to look at solving inequalities. So let's get going. So inequalities are formula with at least one of these four symbols in them to solve inequalities. Okay. So what an inequality means? This means that the value on the left of that symbol is smaller than the value on, is smaller than the value on the right. So you can think of it as almost like a crocodile eating something that's big and something small over here. Okay, so this symbol means that whatever is on the left is bigger than whatever is on the right of that symbol. Now these ones with the line underneath, they're the same, but it means it can also be equal to. So if you're thinking about this one, whatever is on the left is smaller than or equal to whatever is on the right. And the same here. So if we've got this inequality here, negative 5x subtract 2 is bigger than 3x. So we're going to look at solving this inequality. So in the same way that we think about equations, the first step we can do is we can subtract 3x from both sides to get all of our x's onto one side of the inequality sign. That gives us negative 8x, subtract 2, which is bigger than 0. And then we want to get the x's on its own, so we add 2 to both sides. Remember, we still have to do the same on both sides, even though we're working with inequalities. So we add 2, that just leaves us with negative 8x, and 0 add 2 would give us 2. So we know at this stage, negative 8x is bigger than 2. Next stage we do is we'll divide by 8. On both sides. This tells us that negative x is bigger than 1/4. And a little sneaky thing here, so when we times by -1, the direction of the arrow actually changes. Now that only happens when you times by a negative number. So a quarter times by -1, it's never negative quarter. Negative x times by -1 will give us just x. And notice the symbol's changed here. So the final statement we've got is x is smaller than negative 1/4. Let's look at some questions and have a go. So solve the inequality for x. 6x plus 4 is bigger than 22. So subtract 4 from both sides to start with. So that leaves us 6x is greater than 18. 22 minus 4. And divide both sides by 6. So 6x divided by 6 would give us x, and 18 divided by 6 would give us 3. Now again, a video here, so I'm going to skip over that and you can watch it in your own time when you're working through the module. So double inequalities, that's another thing we could be looking at. So here you've got negative 3 is smaller than x divided by 2 plus 3, which is smaller than or equal to 4. So a bit more complicated here with the double inequality. Now what we can do to start with is we want to get just x on it. So get rid of the coefficient in front of x. So here it's x over 2. So what we can do is times the whole lot by 2 to get just x on its own here. So that's negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. X divided by 2 times 2 will just give you x. 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 2 is 8. We keep all the symbols the same at this stage. Then what we can do is look at thinking about getting x on its own. So we want to get rid of this plus 6 here. So we subtract 6 from all sections of the inequality. So that would leave us with negative 12, and this 6 subtract 6, minus 6 subtract 6. And 8 subtract 6 would give us 2. So we're left with negative 12 is smaller than x, which is smaller than or equal to 2. And that is our final answer here. Okay, we want to get x on its own and in the middle of the two inequality symbols. Again, here's another video, so I'm just going to skip over that and you can look over that in your own time. So here's an example. Solve the inequality for x. This is a tricky one, this one. The first thing I'm going to do is look at trying to get rid of this fraction because I don't like that fraction in there. So I'm going to times the whole lot by 2 to get rid of this denominator. So my negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. This part here times 2 would give me x subtract 1. This x times 2 would give me 2x, and it is smaller than or equal to 14, which is 2 times 7. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at collecting the x terms. So here in the middle here, we've got an x, subtract 1, add 2x. So we can bring together those x's. There's a positive x and 2 positive x's, so that'll be 3 positive x's in total. So add 1 to both sides. That's to get rid of this negative 1 here, because we want x to be on its own in the middle, remember. So add 1, negative 4, add 1 is negative 3. 14 add 1 will give you 15. And the very last stage, we want to get just x on its own in the middle, so we need to divide the whole lot by 3. So negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. Is x in the middle, and 15 divided by 3 would give us 5.